What's Savannah?
You want to talk about this Pitchfork review?
We might as well. They got
Let's go into it. So, I hate that we have to keep talking about this, but we do. And a lot of publications on the mainstream publications, they are reluctant to review Nas's Magic album for whatever reason. Pitchfork Media has finally come with their review. And you know what? In the suspense,
they must love the smoke, man. Like,
they gave Magic a
what's wrong with these guys?
6.8. A 6.8 out of 10. They gave it a 6.8 out of 10, but again, just like everything else, everybody has their opinions. But what we read into on this show and what we want to talk to the fans about is the tone and how things are being positioned. I want you guys to also know that they gave Playboy Cardi's Whole Lot of Red like a 8.3. Listen, man, you know that we respect every generation of this hip hop shit, man. I tried to listen to that album today. That shit is trash, man. Like, it's trash. Okay. The writer of this one, I think it's interesting to note as well, is going to be, what is it, Pete Torsoli? Come on, Pete. Let me put Pete on the screen real quick. Pete actually wrote the review for King's Disease 1 for Pitchfork. He skipped King's Disease 2 because, I guess they got a new writer. Forgot the gentleman's name. We spoke about him in a previous show. But I guess they called Pete back so he can go ahead and do his review on Magic. So, my take from this, before we get into it, you know what? Let me get your take on it, and then I'll get into it.
Oh, we're not into it?
Well, I'm about to read some of the article. You know what I'm saying? I'm
putting on the screen. Get into it.
Yeah. I'm about to get into it.
First of all, understand like how this machine is working right now. We totally blew up their spot about King's Disease 2 and how it got rated. Mm-hmm. And so they're going back to the original writer of King's Disease 1 to try to gloss over like their like blatant blunders and miscues, which is fine. First of all, you're not doing what you think you're doing. He didn't rate King's Disease 1 properly. And I said that when we got on the guy that wrote King's Disease 2. And how does the King's Disease 1 review start? By talking about Illmatic.
Yeah, and you know what? I think this is noteworthy as well. They gave King's Disease 1 a 6.3. Magic gets a 6.8. Again, there's a lot of tone in here, but what I pulled out from this particular review, there's a lot of $5 words here, unnecessarily too. And I think me and Coop were talking about this.
Words, Mike, he got to get paid. You're saying it right. He got to get paid as a writer. He's writing for his life because he's scared of a day job, to quote Common. Bunch of $5 words. Once again, we have another review. It's really not a review with a bunch of backhanded compliments, a bunch of misinformation that's filled with what I like to call good rhetorical writing style. All these people we're talking about, like, I want you to understand, like, I'm a writer too. I've been a writer my whole life. Like, these guys are wonderful writers. Mike, I don't write the way most of these guys write, even though I'm capable of it, because it'd be a lot of bullshit.
All right, this is what, and I agree with you.
The difference between using your words and just using a word.
It's a lot of overusage of words here in a way where it seems like he's trying to talk over the audience. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. I ain't no dumb nigga, right? I'm pretty educated. A lot of these words in this article, I had to go look up for myself. Like no, Mike, what's he trying to say?
No, Mike, all jokes aside, and I'm not being funny when I say this, none of the words missed me, but that's part of the reason why I took issue with it. I'm like, this is a hip-hop. This is what I keep trying to express to people. Hip-hop is something that is based on the angst of our community and an outlet that we use creatively to express it. The emotion and the intent matters.
Well, all right.
So all these words without emotion or intent are fine anywhere else, but they're not fine here. It
but can't the just thing is,
the beautiful words. That's why I don't write my shit that way in here.
I agree with you, but my thing is like, when you're writing in this way about this project, about this artist, with this tone, who are you writing to? Who
Right.
are you
That's what I'm
talking
thinking
to?
about. Rule number one, Mike, know your audience. That's why I'm about bringing up the emotion and the intent. These are guys that are more concerned with their writing portfolio and making sure their writing style comes off for the next job than being embedded in reviewing the music of the culture properly and using the diction and vernacular that pertains to this culture, not to your education and not to your vocabulary level. Mike, you know what my vocabulary is like. I could write these articles a whole nother way in these reviews that I've been writing in the last 5,
But at
6
the
years.
end of the day, what will be the point? Because this is about speaking to our people,
Right. I'm
speaking
trying to
to the
speak to
hip
people. I'm
hop.
not
Like,
trying to
who is
get
this
style
written to?
points. Right.
Because the motherfuckers who you wrote these words for ain't listening to Nas Magic. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Shit,
All right.
ridiculous. I'm tired of explaining this because you, as a writer, these are things that you know. Like, Mike, when you're talking about the tone, those are things that you're taught as a writer very early on. There's a certain tone. The tone is based on the audience.
Definitely. Let me get into it real quick because we could go on and on about
Mike,
that.
that's not even high school English writing. That's middle school shit you learn. Because I remember, because I'm a writer and always had aspirations to be one.
All right,
That's
let me
like
get into the
English.
article real quick, Coop. Let me get into the article. All right. So the first, well,
College degrees. Don't know, 7th grade English shit.
the highlighted sentence is Nas is pointing this, which means basically he's a poet and writes images. He said better at writing couplets than albums, and Magic proves he's still a transcendent rapper when he allows himself to be. So this article starts off with there's an unwittingness poet sequence at the end of Magic, Nas's 15th studio album. The final track, I don't even think I'm there with the people. Let me go back. All right, there we go. All right, so the final track, Dedicated, is a pure middle-aged Inuit couched in a wistful pop culture references. The sort of preoccupied nostalgia trip Jay-Z perfected on 444. Nas name dropped Mike Tyson, Kimura Lee, and Carlito's Way, alluding to some compelling ideas without really exploring them. It's breezy enough that you can almost forget the kids these days grumbling. But the chorus, I dedicate my life, a simple repetition of a invasive self-statement, is tantalizing in its eloquence.
Invasive statement, tantalizing.
Right.
What the
All right, let me keep going. At 48, the Queens native continues to enjoy his institutional acclaim, afforded one of rap's most prestigious talents. A survey of the latter-day catalog yields mingling and short-lived crossover and self-indulged concept records. The cynical musing of a bitter divorce. To what did you dedicate your life?
Of a bitter divorce. Like, is he trying to submit a thesis for college, or is he writing a music review for Pitchfork about Nas? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what is up with these dissertations from these corny ass dudes?
No, and then he says, but even all right, let me go back to that sentence.
You're like, they're intelligent people in this hip hop sphere. It's like, dude, I just heard a whole bunch of tantalizing, and dude, like if you're talking about the bars being tantalizing, like Hit-Boy synthesizer use on production samples, like what are you talking?
Well, let's be honest. Says Mike, you're misreading at okay. I guess he means misreading it. Let me go back to that last sentence. A survey of the latter-day catalog yield just a medley of short-lived crossovers and self-indulgent concept records. The cynical musing of the bitterly divorced. Excuse me. To what did you dedicate your life, Nas?
Hold on. First of all, Mike, you did miss a couple things. It didn't change anything about what I had to say because this is the same bullshit.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, he dedicated his life. What are you questioning here? Exactly. Like, what did he said? What did you dedicate your life, Nas? What did you dedicate your life, Nas? To music, well, clearly.
For those of us who actually have been, around since 94-ish, it's probably talking about hip hop in the music business. seeing how he's been a hip hop artist since he was a teenager, and he's almost 50 now.
He's been
What are we doing? What are we doing?
He's
Why
been
are
the
they supporting you
chosen
about a
one since
project?
he was a
No,
teenager.
almost, and here's what I want people to understand, and here's why I was talking about how the agenda works. We're gonna jump back into the agenda right quick. Oh, they've heard all the smoke that we've been giving other people about these constant Illmatic references. So he very gently couples Illmatic and It Was written together in the article to make it seem like he's not just referencing Illmatic to criticize. We see that bullshit. You see, like, and this is what I want people to understand, and you said it very well, Mike. They literally sent somebody in to talk over our head like we are not intelligent enough to understand that this is some bullshit.
But honestly, he said a bunch of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, these words, these $5 words were honestly put in places that they shouldn't have been put in. And it really didn't add anything to the article. It just added confusion to the art. Because nothing he was saying made sense. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about? Okay.
Like,
all right.
It's a microcosms of misgivings and a cornucopia of poor choice words.
Exactly. This is, what was his name from In Living Color? In the jail cell. Dang.
My brother.
Huh?
My brother. Yeah. You must
like the constellation.
Yes.
All right, let me continue this real quick.
It's Mr. Ugly Man. Marlon Wayans and In Living Color.
Magic points out the hard-to-earn craftsmanship and humble cultivation of a blue-collar meter. It asks you to overlook his mid-career miscues and late-career misanthropy, which is just as well his listeners have long clamored for the return of the 90s protagonism, and Magic is the most meat and potatoes Nas has on the record in years.
90s protagonism.
Misanthropy. Come on, man. All right, so Nas has a dislike for mankind.
And first of all, Mike, I mean, this is what I'm saying about how this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. Most of the Nas hate started in the 90s. He wasn't a protagonist in the 90s. He's always been anti-establishment. 90s protagonist.
Well,
what is he saying?
Let me ask you this.
He saying? Mike, I bring that up because he don't know what he's saying. Feel me? Because he don't know what he's talking about.
All right, hold. So let me ask you this. Like, it says...
You don't know. It's just words.
What part of Magic? No, what part of the album?
We know big words too. We know big words in this community. Hey.
What part of the album asks you to overlook his mid-career miscues? Because it said it asks you to overlook his mid-career miscues and late-career misanthropy.
It's a backhanded compliment. It's saying this music is so good right now, it almost makes you forget like the mid-career crisis is what he's trying to say. But then he still just gave it a 6.8. But that too. But Mike, then he just gave it a 6.8. He don't know what he's talking about. Once again.
All right, let me go back to it real quick.
Once again.
Okay, where are we at?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
He said Magic is the most meat and potatoes Nas record in years. Speechless cast back to the It Was Written and that enthusiast, with the spoken intro and peeling mandolin instrumental.
Stop for a second, Mike. Stop right there. That's how I know that they listen to us, because I've been the only one out here talking about this project in reference to It Was Written on terms of Nas's lyrical capability. Mm-hmm. Next.
Let's see. Let's see where they actually say something. A flashy performance with the
out here talking that way.
Let's see.
Piecing it together. So cute.
The album maintains a springly 95 BPM clip, opportune for its focus and verbal acrobatics over Nas's usual sermonizing. Anything faster is liable to trip him up. Anything slower, and is practically comatose. He's practically comatose. Yeah, I mean,
backhanded compliments all over it.
It's like
review, but they're calling it his best meat and potato albums in years. You see, they're really scared right now. That's how we know we got them shook. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from.
Unsurprisingly, these songs are far from habitable. Hold on.
From these streets that we done took. You walking with your head down, scared to look.
All right,
You should.
hold on, real quick, Coop. Unsurprisingly, these songs are far more habitable than "Hugging Fair" of the 2018's Nasir and the 2020's King's Disease, similar to the 2004's "Good Morning."
What does that mean? What does that mean, Mike? Explain it to the people. Tell the people what that means.
Well, basically, he starts off saying that Nas is rapping in his in the BPM speed that he wants to. I guess he didn't hear that 40 side record on King's Disease too, because I mean Nas sped it up and sounded very comfortable doing that.
Spicy,
Yeah,
YKTV, 27
um,
Summers.
yeah. He said anything faster than 95 BPM is liable to trip Nas up. Anything slower, he's practically comatose. I don't think that's accurate. I think that the fact
I
that
mean, and Mike. And Mike. Since he want to get technical, there are BPMs on that album that are more than 95, and you and I both know that.
oh definitely, but you know
So,
again it sounds good.
yeah, I mean, it's cute. You tried to make it seem like you knew what the beats per minute were. That's cute too.
Again, it's like you
Again,
want to sound like you're doing the work, but not really
right.
doing the
You
work.
sound like you know what you're talking about. You don't. I hope Hit-Boy put all the BPMs up because then he getting called a B-list producer in here.
Oh yeah, he called him a B-list producer. Let me get to that real quick. The
It's
truth.
funny. He didn't become a B-list producer till he started working with Nas.
All right, hold on. Let me get to this right here. It says the truth packs battle rhymes. Excuse me, with bright imagery. And he goes through the quote, and then all right, hold on. Let me get to what he had to say about Hit-Boy because
He
a
didn't
lot
have
of this
anything to say.
is a knock on production, and I don't think that this lacks production on no end. All right,
Mike, Mike, Meet Joe Black, Speechless, the truth. Like these are great beats.
all right,
Like,
here we go. But he's never content with low stakes grandeur. On Ugly, he's promised yet another King's Disease installment for 2022. Although Magic steers clear of Nas' Achilles heel, his notoriously poor judgment of his own strengths. It's compromised by the presence of Hit-Boy, a thoroughly B-list producer who's helmed the last three Nas records. Hit-Boy's depthless beats are stately at a distance, but chiseled up close. Basically, he's saying that shit looks good from afar, but when you get up to it, it's trash. And then he says, like music playing through a mangling iPhone speaker.
Mike, I normally don't say this because usually when these things happen, you're usually more the proponent on it. But I would appreciate it if everybody would jump on this guy's Twitter page and just verbally stone him to death today for thinking that he knows what the hell he's talking about and having the audacity to like wrap around and like do it twice and then be cute about it. Mike, he been listening to us like it's all in the article because like
It's probably in the chat right now.
Oh, it's all bad for you, fam. Like it's all bad for you, like because you don't know what you're doing. And Pitchfork needs to stop sending suckers into our culture. Like you guys are trash. You guys, I mean, like just call me and Mike before y'all do a review. Like get a black person in the room. Do something. Like I hate to say it, like they get a black person in the room.
They got a black
like,
person
last
time.
Not your black friend, like the black person that might intimidate you or bother you to be next to. That person. Put them in the room and listen to this shit. Like get something.
He continued on Hit-Boy real quick, man. He said, the cheering melodies of Hollywood Gangster and Woo for the Children each sound a half chord off key, and when he tries to conjure a golden era ambiance with the digitized synthesizer, it lends the air of a Vegas review. Not to play fantasy sports, but DJ Premier is literally right there doing the turntable cuts on Wave God. Did no one think to ask him for some loops?
Nobody asked you for this review. You still did it.
Well, I mean, we did ask for the review. I wanted them to review it. I think that it's interesting that,
I don't want them to review anything. They suck.
All right. People are asking for this guy's Twitter, man. All right. This was, what's his name? Pete. How you say his last name? Tercelio?
Give me 1 second. Won't take long.
TOSIELLO.
Won't take long.
Let's see. Let's go to the actual article so people could see the name.
1 second.
Yeah, he's easy to find.
Won't be a problem at all. Give me a memento.
No, it won't be a problem at all. I think that the disrespect to Hit-Boy, I think that's really
Mike, that's
interesting.
Tosilio. Pete Tosilio.
Tosilio, that's what I thought.
That's Italian.
Yeah, Pete Tosilio. Listen, to say that Hit-Boy is a B-list producer in this era, it's just inaccurate. You know, regardless if you're a fan of Hit-Boy's, beats or production or even the pairing with him and Nas, it's inaccurate. Because again, I've been critical of the pairing because I wanted to see other things, right? But I'm not gonna sit here and call Hit-Boy a B-list producer. He's not. He works with everyone from Big Sean to.
Let's go back to the Mike. We got to go back to the narrative again. When has Hit-Boy ever been called a B-list producer?
Right. But that goes back to the narrative of Nas and his beat picking skills.
Right.
So it's like, let's go to that.
Struggles with beats. That's the narrative, and so thereby Hit-Boy just got knocked down as a producer a notch. That's how serious it is. These guys are terrible. They're all over our culture.
Okay.
It's like eradication season. Like, Mike, we got to get rid of the pests, the vermin.
And I hate to bore people with this, man, but I mean, this is one of those reviews where you have to read the actual whole thing. You know what I mean? And let me get back to this real quick so we can get on.
It's bad. It's bad for these people this year.
Oh, where were we at? Okay, I think it's the backward facing part. Yeah. Let me get over there.
We're all over the place like this very wordy, poorly written and reviewed article.
He said you could knock Magic for being backward facing, but then again, all of Nas's music is backward facing. Instead of calling him a nostalgic MC, he called him backward facing. All right, it's charming when he revisits his own gospels, but the nostalgic act would be easier to swallow if it weren't so resentful. The King's Disease records, are joyless Grammy bait, demanding that the award committee ignore the elephant in the room. Needless to say, they've complied.
Mike, that whole, all that you just read, that is a writer reaching for words. That's what we call a writer reaching for words.
Why you say that? What makes you say that?
It's the diction that he's using. He keeps trying to find more and more adjectives to get a point across without becoming disrespectful, charming, nostalgic. He's word reaching. People got to understand what's going on with the narrative. Like, I'm a writer and I use you know how my words are, Mike. Like I talk the way he writes, so I know what he's doing. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
And it's some bullshit. Like, I do that when I'm on my bullshit, Mike. Use my words to get people.
Well, we're getting to the end of this
I know
article.
what he's doing. I do it to people. I do it to people like in the flesh. I use my vocabulary and my diction and my tone to tone it my way. Like, that's what he's doing as a writer. He's just ain't about to get no ends here. So,
this is the part that I found interesting too, because again, it seems like Khalees was brought into this article just like it was in the Rolling Stone article we talked about.
Part of the narrative
last
now.
week.
He's an abuser. Remember, Mike? He's an abuser. We got to remind people he's an abuser.
All right, so it says the specter of his ex-wife turns up as a scapegoat on Ugly, where he says, "Grown men jealous outside. It's grown ass women that'll have you set up to die." I don't think that was a line about her. And then he said,
"So Mike, he doesn't know his catalog. Nas has made references like that about women from the jump. Mike, watch them niggas on It Was Written.
Yeah."
He took them straight to your safe. You doubted it could happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been saying that about females. So,
and he also references "Woo for the Children." One girl for the rest of your life. One girl for the rest of your life. Is that realistic? Some had told me they like when I call them all type of bitches. Hold on, let me finish. It says these are grievances from the Bitcoin millionaire. Music defined less by what it is than what it is not. Druggy, minimalist, or improvisational. Last sentence, and then
Make
we're
sure
done
you
with
put his
this.
last name up so people can go find him.
La-
Pete Tosilio. Tosiello. Yeah, I'm quick. I only need to see your name once to memorize it.
last paragraph. But this is what Nas does. If Illmatic and It Was Written have an explanatory flaw, it is that their inmates, capos, and Queensbridge Park winos are whittled to their fates. His characters rarely exhibit agency of their own, which become a convenient narrative device when your wife walks out and the audience gaze drifts from New York to Atlanta. Now, Nas needn't be a tragic figure, excuse me, and his endless cataloging of things taken from him. Record deals, a happy family, a seat at the throne of hip hop is something of a self-fulfilling prophecy. All that's left is to go through the motions.
Mike,
Wow.
what is he talking about?
Whoa.
This is like the happiest nigga in rap right now.
No. He says Nas is bitter because his
No, that's what
record
I'm
deals.
saying. Mike, this is the proof that he don't know what he's talking about. This is like literally the happiest guy that you'll find in rap right now. He's literally rapping his ass off. He's literally making all the money. He literally has his legacy. He's literally like a bachelor. Like he's literally having a great time. That's part of why the music has been so good.
You know what's really interesting though?
Having a great time.
You know what's really interesting? It's like on the final paragraph, they always get personal. I should have just skipped to the final paragraph. It was like a whole bunch of stuff, and then you get to the final paragraph. I want to read this one more time because there's a lot in this right here.
We're suffering. We're already suffering.
He said his characters rarely exhibit agency of their own, which becomes a convenient narrative device when your wife walks out and the audience's gazes drift from New York to Atlanta. That's a whole diss to New York, period. And then he says Nas needn't be a tragic figure, and his endless cataloging of things taken away from him. Record deals, a happy family, a seat at the throne of hip hop is something of a self-fulfilling prophecy. All that's left is to go through the motions.
Go get this guy. Just go get him. Like I don't even want to. I don't even want to have to do it.
Let's say Atlanta.
Like,
basically,
go. No. Like the people. Like y'all take care of him.
Wow. He did. He dissed Queensbridge too.
Mike, let me go ahead and say this, Mike. If Jay gets treated this way the next time he drops a project, I'm about to have the same energy and the same smoke and the same type of reaction and behavior.
He said that the seat of hip hop's throne was taken from Nas. That's what he said. He said record deals, a happy family, and a seat at the throne of hip hop was taken from Nas. That's what he said.
And I'm saying he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about because he doesn't.
That's very off. But again,
damning. It's not even off. It's just damning critique. But we're used to the damning critique. It's like, okay, some more sucker food.
Miss Mo said he's watching right now. I'm sure. I mean, give us some insight, sir.
I don't care. I'm not your friend. I ain't come here to be nobody's friend. I'm not your friend. Got no desire to be your friend. Got desire to cover this hip hop shit unbiasedly and fairly though. So that's what we're gonna be doing. And anybody not doing the same thing gonna catch this. And if you got a problem with it, really don't care. So pull up, make your comments. I'll come up on your show with no notes, like I've been saying I'll do.
You know, it's unfair, man. I think that to bring personal things in, I think is out of pocket, first of all. And I think it has nothing to do with the album that you're reviewing. I think that even when you listen to Magic, Nas isn't even talking about a lot of these things that are being brought up.
He's just rapping, He's just rapping.
And it's taking some of his lyrics and rephrasing them and taking them out of context and trying to apply them to things that you write up in a news story. Trying to apply some of these lyrics to Khalees, I think is irresponsible. just because he says the B word doesn't mean he's talking about his ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? Just because he even talks about the fact that, being with one woman for the rest of your life or whatever, doesn't mean he's talking about his personal, um, you know, ex-wife experience. He could be talking about somebody he dated a month ago. Whatever. Who knows? But to apply these things to that is irresponsible, especially for someone who has so many words for so many scenarios and situations. I mean, again, it got personal even with Hit-Boy, calling him a B-list producer and saying the seat at hip hop's throne was taken from Nas. Like, who has that seat? Exactly. Like, who are we talking about?
When are we talking? What are you talking about? What are we doing once again?
I don't know, man. But again, Pitchfork Media. Let me give you guys the writer of this. Go tell Pete what y'all think about it.
I think I'm going to tell Pitchfork Media what I think today, Mike. I'm not worried
Go tell.
about
You know what? Yeah. I think that's even more. Yeah. Let Pitchfork Media know what you think about the review. I'm sure they posted it on their Twitter.
Not if they're smart, but they're
I'm
probably
sure
not.
they have. So. They're probably very proud of the review. But a 6.8.
Well, you can't fix stupid, Mike. You can't fix stupid.
I didn't.
Tell me that you can't fix it, Armand. Stop trying to fix it.
I didn't mean to bore you guys with that, and I'm sure I was tripping over some of the words and the sentence phrasing because it just didn't make too much sense in the tense that it was
Mike,
given.
You're fine. See, the thing about it, this is what I mean about when you're actually a good writer and you're actually a talented writer. You're more concerned with the flow and making sure your point gets across than using a bunch of words to show that you're a talented writer. Like, your talent's going to show if you got it, period, because people will gravitate to your work with whatever writing style or medium that you choose. In this format, emotion and the intent matters.
It feels like the Nas articles keep getting more and more disrespectful, and I hate that we have to continue to cover this.
It's getting better and better, Mike. It's literally...
It's crazy, man. It's like, again, we don't want to be on this microphone acting like, we just caping for this and that. Like, but dude, if we didn't say anything about this stuff, it wouldn't be right. We have to.
It's not right. It's been, Mike, I mean, just for me personally, this is like what we're doing is the number one reason I was okay with getting in front of this camera when you asked me to. Because I was totally cool with staying in the back. But about some of this shit that I see, especially how the media runs it, I just had enough.
Everything happens so fast. So we have to kind of take this stuff on as it happens, I guess they thought they were going to sneak that article past you Nas fans, but they didn't, Y'all hit our Twitter early this morning when that review came out. So we appreciate y'all for that.